Making $10,000 a month is something that everyone should strive for. Why? Because it's at that level you really get a taste of what financial freedom really is. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how I build small to medium-sized apps, find a market, charge a monthly recurring subscription, and in turn, essentially fund my lifestyle this way. Now, if this sounds like something you'd be potentially interested in, whether you know how to code or you don't, then stick around in this video because I'm going to be giving you some really useful tips to help you get started. The first question I want to address is the question of why you should even consider building an online business in the first place. Now, we've all probably heard of the concept of passive income, essentially where you have money that just goes into your bank account without you ever having to lift a finger. Now, the unfortunate reality is there are very few cases in which this is actually a reality for people. However, in my experience, this journey of building an app, scaling it, charging a monthly recurring subscription comes very close to the idea of passive income for me anyway. And the reason is, with tech businesses, if you have the correct infrastructure and you've automated pretty much all of your processes, there is a significant element of what we call passive income. Now, that doesn't mean that you just build something once and you don't do anything. Markets are constantly changing. And so what you need to do is, once you have the infrastructure in place, constantly look in ways that you can improve the product to make sure that you're not falling behind when you're talking about competitors. So if you're someone that's pretty much introverted and you don't feel like you're a fit candidate to pick up the call and try and close deals or knock on people's doors and close deals that way, then this might be something that you should probably consider. Now, the number one thing you need to know is if you're considering building an app or a business, your idea does not have to be unique. In fact, as early entrepreneurs or first-time entrepreneurs, I would probably urge you to look at things that already exist. Why? Because your competitors in this space have already proven to you that there is a market for this service that you're going to provide. In other words, they have proven to you that there is a group of people who have money, who are willing to spend money to solve a particular problem. The problem that a lot of first-time entrepreneurs face is that they want to build the next billion-dollar thing. And I'm not here to kind of discourage you. I just go by a very simple motto, which is for you to get started, you want to start off by this following principle. You want to minimize your efforts and you want to maximize your rewards. So I would urge you, if it's the first time you're building a web application or a mobile application, to really look at what already exists and ask yourself, how can I provide something that is the same as these competitors, but also add something that's a little bit more exciting compared to what everyone else is doing. Now, when I've had an idea in the past, when I was younger, a lot of the time, once I've pitched this idea to my friends or my family, they would say the following words: that already exists. And that was it. That was the last time I ever brought that up. Why? Because I didn't think I'd be able to go into an industry and make money if someone else is doing it. But that couldn't be further away from the truth. That might sound like a familiar thing that you've heard people tell you once you've pitched your business idea. But rather than discouraging you, if anything, that should encourage you. That should tell you that, like I said before, there's a market that already exists. There's a group of people who are willing to pay for your service. Now, we need to make this clear. This isn't advice that I would maybe give to someone who's had 10 exits from building businesses. This is specifically for people who want to get involved and become an entrepreneur and build something and scale something for themselves. Once you have the experience and you've built things and you've acquired the right amount of capital, then you can think about building things that actually potentially change the world. But if you want to just get your foot into entrepreneurship, then remember, your idea does not have to be unique. And the next time you pitch an idea to a family or a friend and they say that idea already exists, then that is your ticket to go ahead and get started. Think about it this way. Suppose there is a billion-dollar industry, whatever the industry may be, right? If you can now build a web application or a mobile application that solves a problem and just acquire 0.001% of that billion-dollar industry, you're left with 10,000 people. Now, 10,000 users is a lot. And if you can get 10,000 users to pay $30 a month, you're generating $300,000 every single month. Now, these numbers sound scary, and they are scary, right? If you're someone that's making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, and someone comes to you and talks about making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, you kind of freak out and you think, That's not even possible. And these are real conversations that I've had with people. The actual words of that's not possible are the kind of conversations that we have. The reason why people say it's not possible is because they haven't broken down the problem, right? $30,000 a month is a lot of money. Now, suppose you've built an app and it works great and everybody that's used it loves it, right? Your job is to get 1,000 people. Whether you go and knock on their doors, whether you send emails, whether you put it on an influencer's page, just 1,000 people in the whole world, right, that are interested in that service. If you can get each one of them just to pay $30 a month, that's generating a revenue of $30,000 a month. Now, at the beginning, $30,000 seemed crazy, but suddenly, when you think about it as 1,000 people paying $30 a month, and within the world that we live in and the exposure that we have because of the internet, it seems a lot more possible. Number two, the next thing you want to do when you're building an app is you want to spoon feed the user. I mean that every single important and core functionality should be very, very, very much in your face and easy to find. Why? Because a lot of people have these amazing, great ideas who, in fact, go a step further and start funding, building apps. But the skill that they lack is taking very complex processes and making it into a very simple user interface for the user. Now, if you can master that skill, you're in a really, really good place. Because look, we can all agree when we have a problem, we want to find the quickest solution. Even as business people, we understand that. But when we get stuck into building the process, sometimes we try and be a little too smart or a little too formal. The reality is, and this is something you have to remember, you're dealing with humans just like yourself, right? I want to click one button and get my problem solved. The next thing I want to speak about is the thing that is most valuable to man, the thing that is most valuable to me, and the thing that is most valuable to you, and that is time. If you can save the end user time, then you're in a good position. I'll give you an example. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, I needed to go somewhere with my sister, and we didn't have a car. And so we used to have these card leaflets posted to our house of taxis, and we'd pick up the phone and make the call and hope that some taxi was available and in the area. Now, for so many years growing up, there'd be times that the taxi wouldn't even come. There'd be times where they'd come like hours later, right? But what Uber has done is I can literally, at a click of a button, order an Uber and it will be ready within 2 minutes. Now, I don't mind paying a premium over something that will save me time and allow me to focus on other important areas of life. So, if you're building a business application or a mobile application, whatever the case may be, you really want to think about how are businesses going to save time with my product to allow them to take on more work? Or how are individuals going to save time so that they can take on more work in whatever industry they're in? And so once you really have these things in play where, number one, you recognize that your idea doesn't have to be unique as a first-time entrepreneur. Number two, you've built something that is so simple to use that it's very difficult for you to not find what it is that you want. And number three, you have time saving as a key objective. And provided your app gives businesses and individuals value, then again, you're in a really, really good position. And so these are the things that you should be striving for. Number four, when I was early into this journey, I used to think that I would build an app and I would undercut the whole competition and essentially suck in the market. That's not true. And you should never do that. Why? There's many reasons why you shouldn't do that. Number one, when you have a cheap product, people don't take you seriously. You want to apply an element of luxury or professionalism to your pricing. And pricing, generally speaking, is a very good indicator to the service that you're going to provide. And so if you've built something and you've entered a market and you've planned to undercut everyone, that's the first thing you want to consider. The second thing you want to consider is there's a reason why your competitors are priced at a similar level. There's a reason why they do that, right? And given that they're experienced, there's probably costs that you are maybe not necessarily aware of at a given point in time. You're probably missing something that's going to come around and really bite you. So remember, when you build an app, when you build a business application or an individual type application, you don't want to undercut. In fact, you want to build something similar, add a slight twist to it that these competitors perhaps are not providing, and charge at a similar or maybe even more, right? But you don't want to undercut the competition because it just doesn't work well for anyone. The last advice that I'm going to leave you with is you don't need to know all the answers right now. If you have an idea in mind and you don't know how to get started, then what I would advise you to do is literally just make small steps of progress. Because you probably heard the saying, look, thinking about an idea is not you starting. Speaking about it with your friends and your family is not you starting. Strategizing and all these things, unless you actually make tangible, concrete progress that you can quantify, then you're not actually starting. So the advice is as follows. You don't need to know the answers right now. In fact, no one that ever started any business knew all the answers in what they were about to get themselves into. But the key thing is you're willing to figure things out. And so if you go into this with the correct mindset and apply these key concepts and tips that we've talked about in this video, then the results that you will see are really going to be exponential. Now, if you're watching this and you're someone who has no technical background and you don't know how to code, can you actually build an app? The answer is yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I'm going to leave you with homework and I'm going to let you figure it out. And if you want a video about that specific topic, then let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, that's a wrap.